Hello and welcome back to BeamNG Drive for some freestyle here at 4-Wheel Throwdown. If you haven't seen my racing video, then you should know that I essentially tried to pick trucks from pre-2010. Anyway, here are the rules for today's freestyle. So, here we have a CRD chassis to demonstrate with us the rules of freestyle. Anyway, since the previous freestyle video, there has been an update to BeamNG Drive, and one of those updates included how oil starvation engines work. Now, if the truck is pretty much not upright or upside down like this, the engine is pretty much starved of oil immediately. Normally, this would spell the end of the run for a truck after their second attempt, but just keep things a little bit consistent, the trucks will be able to recover themselves again. Next season, we'll see what happens from there. Anyway, they're allowed to save themselves as many times as they can, but again, they have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to complete a run after doing their first obstacle. So, with those rules out of the way, let us go on to today's freestyle. Our first truck up today is Sudden Impact. Did alright in racing. They lost round 1 to Escalade, I believe. But here they are, ready for freestyle. And up the shipping container they go, landing right back down. Their time has started. Going over to the 2 crush cars on their side. Nice little bounce there. Up this bus stack, landing on his side, but all seems fine for him. Up this center obstacle, clearing the entirety of it. Looks like he's going for this backflip ramp. Up he goes, hits it a little hard, loses the front end. And can he save it? Onto his roof he goes, and saves it. I think in the old rules that would not have counted since he didn't really stop completely. Up he goes over the shipping container, popping it into a wheelie. Landing back down, driving up the buses once again in a wheelie. Hits one of the cars, and saves it. Looks like he's going to back up here, hits one of the cars, and will roll it over. And he will save it. Going over to this little van over here. Up he goes. Lands it back down. Almost pops a wheelie, but doesn't quite make it. Going for the big center ramp. Up he goes. Landing down hard on the rear suspension, but nothing seems to be broken. Up he goes. Lands it down. Going for the buses once again. Up he goes. Ooh, right into the mud. That's going to be a little bit tricky to get out of. And because of how deep it is, it will slow these trucks down quite a lot if they end up in there. Up he goes. The cars once again. Pops a wheelie, almost overdoes it. Lands on his side, but will manage to keep on driving. Getting himself turned around, going back for the center obstacle. Up he goes, lands it down. Up across the crush cars onto the center tabletop he goes. Back to the buses, 10 seconds left on the clock. What else will Sudden Impact have for us? He pops a wheelie, goes over the crush cars, and goes for the backflip ramp yet again, spins around. And that will be the end of his time, and it looks like the end of his run. Up next, we have Predator. Here we have it in the sort of older paint job, paint and scheme, however you want to call it. And we also have those Firestone turf tires. I believe Predator had those tires during the first World Finals. Figured I'd bring them back here. Starting off by going over the van obstacle. Going next for these crush cars that are on their side. Lands it back down, nice and smooth. Going for the buses, up he goes, lands it hard on the bus, rear wheel clips the bus, and into the mud he goes. Careful not to go over the concrete barriers there. Now he's got to try and get himself out of this mud. Again, this mud is really deep, so that's going to slow these trucks down quite a lot. Up he goes, lands it back into the mud, and will save it. Up he goes once again, manages to bring himself out, almost rolls it over, but Predator manages to save it. Up over the racing lane, over the crushed cars, turning himself around, and a little bit of a donut here from Predator. Going for the center ramp, doesn't quite hit it center, lands it down hard, there goes the front end, and will save it as he goes up the shipping container. Ooh, lands down hard on the front wheel. Most of the body panel is coming right off. Gets it right out of the mud, and will keep driving. Going for the buses, hits it hard. Back into the mud for Predator. Up he goes, can he save it? Onto his roof. And it sounds like the engine's been shut off. So it looks like that will be the end of the run here for Predator. Up next we have Cowboy. Did alright in racing. Here we go. Up and over the shipping container. Landing right back down. Up and over these two cars on their side. Lands it down, bounces it up high. Over the buses. Lands on the buses and the vans down pretty hard. Those things are just smashed. Ooh, gets stuck on the cars. Can Cowboy get himself off? Not going forward, but he will in reverse. Off he goes, going for the van over here. Up he goes, some pretty big air off that ramp. On the two wheels for a little bit, but here he goes, going for the center ramp. Up he goes, some pretty good air. Lands back down hard with a bounce. Up he goes, up the center obstacle, lands it down. Off he goes again. Up the big shipping container. Some pretty big air from Cowboy. Going for the van, and once again, up he goes. Lands it down. And back to the crush cars. Going for this bus stack once again. Doesn't quite go for the bus. Ends up in the mud. Now he's got to spend some time to get out of there. Gets himself turned around. Up he goes, nose to the sky, and will climb out of the mud. Like Cowboy's trying to do a donut. Oop, not quite. I think without the sway bars, the pure coil-over shocks are going to be a little problem for the donut. Off he goes anyway. Seems to be lining himself up for this backflip ramp. Up he goes into a backflip and lands it down nicely. Off he goes, looks like he's trying to start yet another donut, doesn't quite get it. Looks like he's trying to avoid the mud here, but he's going to go right in. Popping himself right out of the mud into a wheelie. Landing onto his side. Time is over for Cowboy, and it seems like that will be the end of the run. Yep, he is stopped. The end of the run for Cowboy is here. Let's go on to our next truck. Up next we have Black Stallion, more specifically Black Stallion 2000. Here he is right over here. He did alright in racing as well. Off he goes. Looks like he's going for these crush cars in the racing lane. Up he goes. Time has started for Black Stallion. Getting himself into the buses. Up he goes, right up and over him. He's not going into the mud. Off he goes, into reverse. Up he goes. Lands it down. And right onto the other side. Off he goes, up the center obstacle, lands it down. Looks like he's going for the backflip ramp. Up he goes into a backflip and will land it down nicely. Going for the van this time, it looks like. Up he goes, landing it to the crush cars. He's trying to find another obstacle. Into the other racing lane he goes. Turning himself around. Looks like he might be trying to start a donut, but didn't quite have the room. Looks like he found some room for a donut. And there he goes. Nice little donut from Black Stallion. Let's see what else he has for us. Up the shipping container, some pretty big air. Up the crush cars, landing it back down once again, popping it into a stoppie. Driving it backwards once again. Going for the center obstacle here, it seems. Up he goes. Lands it right back down. I think this track's been a lot more open than some of the previous ones, so they might be having some trouble getting from one obstacle to another smoothly. Off they go. Back to the shipping container. Up he goes. Some huge air from Black Stallion. Lands it right back down. Looks like he might have time for one more trick. To the van, up he goes, and lands it back down, and time will be up for Black Stallion. Up some of the buses he goes, going back to the center obstacle, up he goes, right back down. Yet another donut here from Black Stallion. Again, time is up, so this does not count. And it seems that will be the end of the run here for Black Stallion. Let's move on to our next truck. Up next, we have Tropical Thunder. I think last we saw them was at Beam Stadium. They beat Blue Thunder in racing, so it seems Tropical Thunder might be the better Thunder. But Blue Thunder's in the World Finals. Let's see if Tropical Thunder can get themselves to the World Finals here at Four-Wheel Throwdown as they get some huge air off that shipping container. Landing it back down, turning themselves around. Not going for the buses, look like the center obstacle perhaps. Up he goes, and lands it down. Off he goes to the shipping container once again. Some more big air from Tropical Thunder. Going for these crush cars. Up he goes. Some nice air. Now he's going for the buses. Up he goes. Lands it down. Back to the center obstacle he goes. Up and across. Yeah, this map seems really open for these trucks. Up and over he goes, lands it right back down. Up he goes, some big air off that center obstacle. And those rear sway bars just broke, I think. I don't know if they broke just now or a little bit earlier, but they're definitely broken now. Lands it back down, goes over some of the crush cars. Looks like he's gonna hit this center ramp once again. Up he goes, some big air from that center ramp. Lands it back down, almost rolls it over, but will save it. Back on the four wheels, Tropical Thunder goes. Up the center obstacle, lands it back down with a bounce. Not quite going for the backflip ramp, let's see if he will later. Almost rolls it over as he attempts a donut, I think. Going for the crush cars, up he goes. Going for the bus stack. Turning once again, up and down, and gets grabbed by one of the cars. Manages to free himself without popping a tire. Up and over the racing lane. Looks like he's going for the backflip ramp. Ooh, gets himself stuck, but will do the backflip anyway. And time is now up for Tropical Thunder. Seems like Tropical Thunder isn't quite done with their performance yet. Saves it right back on all four wheels. Up the van he goes. To the crush cars, nose to the sky, and will land it back down. I think the front tire looks popped. Going in reverse, up he goes. I think the bus clipped his wheel there. Up and over the crush cars, over some of the more crush cars. Turning himself around, not quite, that wheel's not going to help him. And it seems that will be the end of the run here for Tropical Thunder. And here we have our racing winner, Little Tiger. Fun fact, I originally wanted to have Little Tiger go first, but if you saw my racing video, then you would probably know why Little Tiger didn't go first this time. Anyway, let's see whether his crew has been able to get this truck up and ready for freestyle. Some pretty big air off that shipping container. Looks like the truck's all well and good. Lands it down and breaks off what I believe to be the exact same wheel he broke off during his encore. Or during his celebratory freestyle. Let's see what this will do to our racing winner. Let's see if it'll be good enough to get him a freestyle win here as well. Having some trouble going over the obstacles. Into a donut for Little Tiger. Dragging that broken wheel is definitely going to hurt them a bit. Trying to turn themselves around. Up the buses they go, stuffing the front wheels into the cars. Up he goes, manages to get over the obstacles without anything grabbing him. Up the center obstacle, clips the back end of it. Getting himself turned around, looks like he's going to go for this center ramp here. Up he goes, lands it sideways, and will save it. Nice save there from Little Tiger. Up he goes over the center obstacle, and breaking what's left of the wheel. Going for the van now, up he goes. Hitting the middle ramp there, but it doesn't seem to be stopping Little Tiger at all. Up and over the center ramp, landing it right back down, almost rolling it over. Going for this big center obstacle. Up he goes, going a bit sideways, but will save it. Going in between the ramp and the crush cars, rolling it over, and saving it. Going right for the backflip ramp. Doesn't quite make the backflip. Gets stuck on his side, and with time up, it seems that will be the end of the run here for our racing winner, Little Tiger. Up next we have El Toro Loco. This time one of the older El Toro Locos with the white horns instead of the yellow horns or the red horns that we see on it now. Off they go. Up and over the racing cars. I think El Toro Loco's been to almost every event. Let's see if El Toro Loco can get themselves a freestyle win and move on to the World Finals. Up they go, getting some big air off the van. Looks like they're going to try for this center ramp here. Up he goes into the sky, lands it down and bounces off the ground. Up and over the center obstacle, lands it down once again for a pretty big bounce. Gets himself in the perfect position to get over this bus. Lands it down for a slap wheelie and will wheelie it up right over the container. Almost getting himself stuck in the mud there. Let's see what El Toro Loco has for us. Up the center ramp, blowing some smoke out of the nose, pops it into a wheelie right over the racing cars. Back to the bus they go, up and over, landing down hard on the obstacle, and off they will go. Up and over the racing lane once again. Positioning themselves for the center ramp once again, up they go, more smoke spewing from the nose. Around, looks like they're going to try and do a donut here. And into a donut, El Toro Loco goes. Nice donut from El Toro Loco. Going for the ship container, up they go, landing it down. Looks like he's going to try and go for this van once again. Up he goes, some nice air. Going for the buses, up he goes, and he will clear the obstacle completely, being the first truck today to do so. Going over the crushed cars, and time is up for El Toro Loco. Into a backflip, and he will keep on driving. Up and over the shipping container for some nice air. Nice little bounce. Up and over the racing lane. And into yet another donut. Oh, and flipping himself over, losing a horn. And it seems that will be the end of the run here for El Toro Loco. Pretty good run. Let's see if anyone else can do better. Up next we have Maniac. Here they are. And off they go. This will be our final truck for part 1. So let's see what Maniac has here for us. Trying to go for the buses, it seems. Up he goes. Time has started. Lands it down on the other side. Trying to get himself turned around here, it seems. Up he goes. Up and over the crushed cars. To the shipping container, up he goes, some nice air, and we'll land it down. Going for this center ramp, up he goes, pops a wheelie as he does so. As he goes up the ramp, breaks his rear left wheel. Let's see how that'll affect his run. Up the center obstacle he goes, lands it back down. Off he goes, going for the shipping container, gets a little wobbly, turns it around, lands hard onto the roof. That ought to hurt. But the rest of the truck seems fine. Maniac doesn't seem to be stopped just yet. Goes for the van, up he goes. Comes back down, looks like he's trying to go for this bus obstacle yet again. Up he goes. Lands it down and breaks the left wheel off, but breaks the right one in the process. Now he pretty much only has front steering, and with the rear wheel missing, that's going to make it much harder. Especially getting out of this mud pit here. But it seems Maniac will be able to do so. Up these crush cars. Going for the buses yet again. And makes it over without little trouble. Going for the racing lane, up he goes across. Goes a little squirrely, but will save the truck. Pretty good save there from Maniac. I almost didn't think he did save it. Off he goes. Nothing seems to be stopping him just yet. Going for the ship container at a weird angle. Pops the nose into the air, lands it on his side. He's going to have to roll himself back over. And it seems that will be the end of the run here for Maniac, and the end of part 1. I will see you again in part 2.